Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are tuning in right now. Welcome to the Persevering with PCOS live show. I can't believe it's been a year since I launched. Well, first of all, it started as the Mind of Yash PCOS series because I had no idea what to call it last September for PCOS Awareness Month. And it's been a year, and I decided that after my summit, my Persevering with PCOS summit, that it was very appropriate to continue with that, perseverance and call it the Persevering with PCOS live show right here on YouTube. So welcome to anyone who's here. If you're joining us, be sure to leave a comment, say where you're tuning in from. I am Yashi from the Mind of Yash from Trinidad and Tobago. And if you've been following me for a while, you would know my story with my PCOS diagnosis when I was 18 years old. And well, you could check out all the videos on the YouTube channel to learn more about it. So be sure to say hi in the comments if you're here already. And we're gonna get straight started because I have a wonderful guest, my first guest for the Mind of Yash PCOS series 2.0. And I'm so excited to chat with her tonight. So let me just do a quick introduction before I bring up my guest tonight. So, Monica Cormier is a registered dietitian and hormone expert who specializes in PCOS, fertility, and adrenal health. She's originally from Honduras and has lived in the US for the past 13 years, where she completed all of her degrees, including a master's degree in nutrition. In her 8 years as a dietitian, Monica has helped hundreds of women heal from PCOS. She worked 6 years as a clinical dietitian alongside a team of doctors and specialists. She has created a beautiful private practice in the last 2 years, exclusively helping women feel at home in their bodies and feel like themselves again. She is passionate about wellness, women's wellness, and loves seeing women thrive. I agree. She lives with her husband and her 6-month-old puppy. So let's welcome Monica.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Monica. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I love your bio. Just reading it just makes me feel so revived. And it's one of the things in my journey is that I so want women, including myself, to feel hopeful despite getting a diagnosis of polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I
Yeah.
feel so excited when I meet persons like you who have seen that and have trained and are helping women do these things. So without further ado, tell us a little bit about your own journey and how it led you to this path of becoming a dietitian and a hormone expert.
Yeah. Good question. So I always knew that I wanted to be in healthcare. I didn't really know what that would look like growing up. Like my mom is a dentist, my aunts, like a lot of my family, they're doctors, dentists, they all are in healthcare. And I didn't really see myself becoming a doctor, but I knew I wanted to be in health. So going off to college, I started going to college, and then I realized that becoming a dietitian was an option, which at the time, like I don't know, but in Honduras, like being a dietitian wasn't a career path back then. So this is over 10 years ago. And so when I realized that it just felt really like it felt aligned. It felt like it really was resonating with me and my desires and my passions for preventative health and also for just helping us like seek health through healthy living, food, exercise, different lifestyle changes, and not just through medicine and those other pathways. So
Right.
that's kind of how it all got started. And it was my own journey with hormone imbalance in my also early 20s. I had what is called hypothalamic amenorrhea. So
Mm.
you also lose your period, you also have hormone imbalance, but it's different than PCOS. And it was that got me started into learning more about hormones, female health, female hormones, wellness. And as my career grew over the past 8 years, working with women, helping them lose weight, many of these women who wanted to lose weight had PCOS, and that was what was preventing them from losing weight. And so that's where the PCOS side cuts like started. It just all happened so seamlessly, it feels like, because like one thing just led to the other, and all these women with PCOS weren't really coming to me for that, but really were struggling with these other symptoms that they wanted to have help with.
Right. And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, okay, I'm gonna have trouble saying this, but I'm gonna try. HA, hypothalamic
Amenorrhea.
area, right? Is
Yeah.
that that is something that I didn't know about, and I heard about while I was doing my summit. Is it true
Yeah.
that it's sometimes women with PCOS are misdiagnosed and they have HA, and the other way around, at least in
Yeah.
Canada?
So I see more of that, of PCOS getting misdiagnosed as HA, and not so much HA being diagnosed as PCOS, because the hormone imbalance is a little different. Like with HA, you don't necessarily have elevated androgens like you do with PCOS. So there's like some like better telling signs that you do have HA and not PCOS. But yeah, with PCOS, there's a lot of missing periods, irregular periods, which is what really hypothalamic amenorrhea is like the main symptom for. So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of women get misdiagnosed, and then they spend all this time thinking they have one thing when they really have another.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you would be trying different methods that are not effective for one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the struggles I find with PCOS, is that women are either being misdiagnosed or diagnosed like really late in life, and throughout this like 10, 20 years, they go thinking or not really knowing what they have and not really knowing what to do about it. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's why it's like so close to my heart to really help these women who are very confused and very frustrated, and it just seems like nothing is helping. But there's
Yeah.
always, like you said, perseverance, and there's always a way to get treated and reverse PCOS even.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of things, exactly as you said, there are a lot of women who get diagnosed very late in life. And for me, I actually got diagnosed fairly early, 18, when I was 18 years old. But the problem with that was that I didn't have much information. I just got the usual, birth control, tried to lose weight, metformin, and kind of sent on my way, and was told, like, when I was ready to have children or anything, I could come back. And that's kind of the story I
Yeah.
tend to hear. But I am so, like, uplifted to see that persons like yourself and just forums where persons are now talking about it. And I think we still have a long way to go, but it's
Right.
still great to try to get the information out there, and just to think about the other things that you're talking about, because I know that one of the doctors who's been on my summit, she was saying that PCOS should be a diagnosis of exclusion. So you need to look at all these other
That are
factors
not that.
and right. So,
Yeah.
so thank you for
Yeah, like
sharing.
HA, for example. Hmm.
Right. So one of the questions I had for you, Monica, was, oh, just now I just lost it. Okay, there it is. Is I saw that you had something called intuitive hormone health reading. So I wanted
Yeah.
to learn a little bit about that. What does that type of reading involve?
Yeah. So in my practice, at first, it really was solely based on science and lab work and your symptoms and all that stuff, that which is super, super important, and like it's the physical side of healing. And through that, I started to realize that I was able to really like have this sense of, it's really difficult to explain intuitive work, because there's like it's there's no words to it, and you can't like physically see it, but it's intuition. So I'm always, since I was little, like my grandma would tell my mom to take me to an ear doctor, because I would like I would always just be very observant and not really take part. And ever since I was little, I just had this sense of knowing, and I could really also see like things that people were struggling with. And as I started working with women, I at first, like, they would come to me with all these concerns, and the concern that people come to you with is never the deeper issue. So there's always something more. And I had that sense of that, and through my work with them, I was really truly able to see what that deeper layer was, so that we could really get to the root cause, not just physically and with lab work and the root cause of your hormone imbalance at that kind of level, but also at a deeper level, like with emotional work and this different like energetic work that as you know, we're all energy. So we have this energetic world that we don't really address. So through those readings, we tap into that. We tap into more of like the energy of healing that is super important. And we integrate that with the science of labs and medical work as well.
I find that so fascinating because it's something. So first of all, like in my own journey, well, the scientific information was lacking for me as well. But when I started to get that, I realized that a lot of times we don't pay a lot of attention to the mental and emotional side of PCOS and other diagnoses and
Yeah,
conditions like that. And when you don't have the tools to be able to deal with a difficult circumstance like that, it could really bring you down and take a toll on your self image and even your relationships and all these different things. And just recently, I started learning a little bit more about energies and how that works and to be more intuitive because I've always thought of myself as well as an intuitive person, and empathic in nature.
yeah.
But I had no idea like how to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like how
Trust
to,
that, how to like really own it.
yeah, exactly. So I've been learning about that. So I think that's very fascinating that you have like I guess like a triple threat or triple, you'll be able to look at the scientific and then also the emotional and the energetic level as well because
Yeah,
we are all like this integrated. We are integrated and we are like different facets. And a lot of times we just kind of focus on one thing all the
yeah,
time and feel depleted in the other areas, which eventually spills out onto the other areas. So I really think it's
yeah.
important just sharing that, you look at each of these arenas and I guess try to get it into an integrated spot.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach to wellness and to well-being so that you can truly feel supported and guided. And it, like you said, it's not just one thing that you're doing where all these other areas are kind of lagging behind. And the other thing I wanted to say is that we're all intuitive. So I think, like you are saying, like you're learning more about it, just trusting yourself with even the like, start with trusting yourself with the little things. So if you feel like today you want to take a right instead of a left going home, if you have different ways to go home, like trust that. And that way you'll be more confident and comfortable with listening to that little intuition because we all like have that sense of like, should I go to the gym or should I not? And just like that inner knowing, we all have it. So learning to trust yourself in those little things, like what seem like little decisions, gives you more confidence to trust yourself when you really feel sense of knowing what's something bigger.
So when you're working with women, how has that been? Because for me, I realized that I didn't really have the skill of decision making in certain areas. Like some things I quick decisions, other things I
Yeah.
would ruminate and stuff like that. So it was a journey for me to get to a point where I could trust myself a little bit more and make those type of decisions when it comes to self care or protecting your energy and your mind and these things. But I feel like that's something that's a little difficult for women or maybe people in general. But based on
Yeah.
your work with women, how have they received that, or how have they been able to adapt and learn that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a good question because so I leave that also up to people when they work with me. You can have that intuitive reading or you don't have to because some people just don't feel comfortable with it or open to it. So you don't have to. But people who are open to it, a lot of them have already had work with that. But those who haven't, what I say is so really like doing little things. Again, it comes to just like learning to trust your own self and the little things. So really becoming more aware of your energy. So when you're feeling stressed, like taking a pause and really like sitting with that and like becoming aware of it and not just like reacting. So I know there's like a famous quote, and I'm gonna misquote it, but by Viktor Frankl, I think it is, where like he talks about how your power lies between what triggers you and how you respond. So like allowing yourself a little bit of like a few seconds of space in that moment to become aware and become centered. And it is difficult in the moment when you're like dealing with something that's stressful or frustrating or triggering. But that is the practice, is creating that few seconds of space where you have the power to decide how you're going to respond.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, diving straight into the next question, how can a woman with PCOS achieve hormone synergy?
Yeah, so I like the hormone synergy because it's what we've been talking about, is the coming together of like the integration of the whole person, of physical, mental, spiritual. So achieving that hormone synergy throughout these practices. So we integrate everything, and it sounds, I mean, I feel like right now it'll sound like a lot of work and like overwhelming, but we really do it in a way that is at the pace of you. And that's the hormone synergy part. Is, if you think of synergy as like things coming together in unison and creating that like vibration of unity. So that's really what we're going after. Like our bodies want to be in homeostasis and want to feel safe. So the way we do that is really integrating all these facets of a woman. So women are very intuitive, so allowing them and bringing that awareness to them and giving them, it's almost like giving you a permission slip to trusting that. Like by me telling you like this is part of the practice, it gives you a permission slip to start tuning into it and to start trusting it. And it's like, oh, you can say like, oh, my dietitian told me to do this, but that's the way you slowly start to trust in yourself, and that has a positive ripple effect in your hormone health too, because it allows you to be more present. And I know with PCOS there's a lot of mental health difficulties too, and I think it all comes down to that, to really feeling at home in your own body, not just physically but also emotionally and spiritually.
No, I love the phrase you said, to like the permission slip, because I think a
Yeah.
lot of times we don't give ourselves permission sometimes to even to feel certain things. Or I think we are very hard on ourselves sometimes when we get certain diagnoses like that, and we feel like, it's like our fault, and we feel embarrassed, and we feel
Yeah.
guilty and these things. But when you really think about it, it's like, okay, well, this is the circumstance, and it's not your fault. You can do things to help and be able to cope with it. But once you give yourself permission to be like, okay, this is the circumstance, I'm gonna feel this way a little bit, but I'm gonna like try to work with persons. I'm gonna try to persevere, build my trust, and just really give yourself a little bit self-compassion. And I think
Yeah.
once I started to do that was when things started to kind of change when it came to how I viewed PCOS.
Yeah, and it really is like giving your power back, like gaining your power back. Because when we get a diagnosis, we feel a little powerless and like we don't know what to do, and we seek people that tell us what to do. And yes, support is good, but there's a lot of things that again we can trust ourselves and trust that we know exactly what we need.
So true, Monica. So one of the questions I had as well is in terms, well, your expertise as well is in, well, being a dietitian as well. And I know for me, a long time I struggled with like being able to put good things in my body and stuff, and it was a more or less a cycle because my mental health wasn't at the place it should be. But what are some of the nutritional changes or tips you would give somebody with PCOS to help reverse or to deal with these symptoms?
Yeah, I think the very first thing that we work on with nutrition and diet is blood sugar balance. So, with blood sugar balance, insulin being a hormone will also affect your other hormones. So, once we have stability in your blood sugar, that again, it's all about your body feeling safe to lose weight, to balance your hormones in general, to like have a period. If all of these are stressors on your body. Like if you don't have a period, it's your body's way of communicating with you that something is happening and it's under too much stress of maybe physical or emotional or any other type of stress that you're undergoing. And stressors can be like poor sleep and poor diet, and even exercise can be a stressor. So knowing that all of these things can be stressors. So with diet, your diet can also be a stressor to your body. So if you have an inflammatory diet that is promoting more of this inflammation and making your body feel unsafe, that's where all this hormone imbalance starts to cascade. And so we really want to focus on maintaining blood sugar balance. And a great way of doing this, like a nugget, would be making sure you're always eating protein, carbs, and fats together. Because together, the fats and the protein help slow down the release of the carbohydrates that create the blood sugar. So by eating them together, you slow down the process so it doesn't create a spike in your blood sugar. So for example, instead of eating just an apple, eat your apple with the rest of your meal, or maybe eat your apple with some peanut butter. So it kind of creates that buffer, so it's not creating spikes in your blood sugar.
Oh, that's a good, because I know for the majority of cases, and I myself have insulin resistance,
Resistance.
so I definitely have to keep looking at my sugar, the sugar balance as you're talking about. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts about inositol? Inositol, did I say that right?
Yeah. So inositol, so there's two types. It's a chiro or myoinositol and dechiroinositol, and they are in your body naturally. They are naturally occurring in your body, but they're also found in like fruits, legumes, and beans. But research has shown that for women with PCOS, inositol helps improve insulin sensitivity and also improves ovarian health. So those are two really key aspects of PCOS that we want to work on, is female health, like reproductive health, with ovarian health and embryo health too, with women trying to conceive with PCOS, and also helping balance your blood sugars by creating that insulin sensitivity. So it is better to, research shows that it's better to take them together, the dechiroinositol with the myoinositol, and the ratio of 40-1, because that's the ratio your body naturally produces it. So taking it that way, it's better than just taking them separately, so that you can get more of the benefits of it.
Okay, interesting. I've been hearing a lot more about inositol recently, which is not something early in the game when I was diagnosed. You more were prescribed things like metformin and these things. So I really wanted to know what your thoughts were about it. So thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's available too in the Caribbean, but here one of the brands that combines it is called Obasitol. That already makes it together.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have it available, but we for sure could probably, order them and bring them in as well.
Yeah.
So, before I continue my questions, I just want to say, for anybody who is viewing, and even like on the replay, if you're watching the replay, please, if you have any questions for Monica, please leave them in the comments so that we could make use of her expertise and knowledge here right now. And one of the last questions that I wanted to ask you, Monica, because you work with a lot of clients with PCOS, and you really sound like you treat it in a holistic way and you look at each aspect. But what is one thing that you would say to PCOS women to really help them, persevere? It could be anything in terms of nutrition or mental health or whatever. What is one thing you think that you would want to leave with them?
Yeah, so I think one thing that you've been mentioning too is that, one, it's not your fault. Like, you didn't cause it, you didn't do anything to make yourself get it. And the second thing too is that what you've been saying too, that it is treatable, it's reversible, it's treatable. Like, I've worked with women whose symptoms go away, and then when they go to their doctor, or they go to a different doctor, their doctor doesn't even know they have PCOS because all of their symptoms are under control. So there's always hope. Trust yourself and trust whoever you feel guided to for support. So also get support, but it's not meant to be like, it's not your fault, and it's not meant to be something you have to suffer through for the rest of your life. Because I feel like a lot of women feel that way. That's something that they're gonna struggle with for the rest of their life, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, that's like hitting me on the head, because that's something when you get that diagnosis and you hear that it's not curable and there's not much you can do at the time.
Yeah, it's very disempowering, and I think it's all about bringing, like I've been talking about, it's just helping women feel empowered that they have the power to do this.
Yes, and we definitely do. I always say PCOS may not be curable, but it is conquerable. And clearly, Monica has been working with persons who are able to see that reversal and be able to manage them to a point where they're thriving and really living life. And that's another thing that I guess is the kind of theme of our conversation today is like, it's not a death sentence. It's not the end of, having a full life. You can, be able to reach your fullest potential and travel and, be the best version of yourself despite the diagnosis. Once you have the right information, inspiration and support, like with places like Monica.
Definitely, yeah, I agree.
So Monica, so given all that you've shared and knowing that you seem to be so helpful in this realm of things, please share with patients like how can they get in touch with you? I know you shared with me that you have a special offer happening in PCOS Awareness Month.
Yeah, yeah. So this happens to be on September, PCOS Awareness Month, which happens to be perfect. So the program for women with PCOS that I lead and run, it's called the Breakthrough Method, and we led it last year for like 2 rounds twice. And for the month of September, it's over 70% off for women who want to join, and it is pre-recorded. But yeah, it is 70% off. So if you are interested in learning more about it, make sure you reach out to me. So
Then
just for the month of September to like celebrate.
I'm dropping your Instagram in the comments and I will also put it in the description after for persons who would like to contact, and I hope you will contact Monica to get some help. And also you also have a very special freebie for the persons as well, so you could please share about that and I'll drop the link in the comments while you share.
Yeah, so we didn't talk too much about this, but environmental toxins are also factors to your hormone health. So throughout a few years of me doing all this work and just learning more about how to further support women with hormone health, I created a non-toxic product guide. So it's a guide that really helps kind of give you a head start with products that are non-toxic, because environmental toxins also impact our hormone balance. So that is a freebie that you can get. Also, I think I sent you the link, but you can share it.
Yes, I'm definitely sharing it because that is something that has been weighing on my mind in the last, well, I guess since I had my daughter. She's 3 now. Like really trying to find products that would not, well, are not toxic and wouldn't affect you that way. And now I'm so conscious of it. Like just recently, I used something, and I guess because either I'm really conscious and I've been trying to not use those things as much. Like I could feel like my body reacting to it already. So, and it really is driving me more to try to find um, products and more natural things to help, with cleaning. And it's really something that I think we need to pay more attention to.
Yeah, yeah, and like now that there's awareness, I think once you know, you can like further look into it. And it's
Yeah.
another thing, like don't feel like super stressed out about it that you need to like just throw everything away and buy everything new. I encourage people to get one new thing at a time, like every few months. Maybe your shampoo. Once you run out of shampoo, instead of getting the same one, look for one that's less toxic.
Yeah, I think that's a very good tip to really take it, because sometimes you be like, because you do get like it's almost like the toxins. You do get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my god, okay, this
Everything, yeah.
everything, I need to get rid of everything. But I've been trying to do that as well. Like, okay, it's like let's stop this. Let's switch out. If it's paper, plastic or paper. Small things.
Yeah,
And eventually you'll get there.
yeah, definitely.
So, Monica, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You're my first guest for the Persevering with PCOS live show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that I was the first one.
Yes, yes, and definitely everybody reach out to her, follow her on Instagram. Get the free to non-toxic product guide and reach out to her if you want to be part of her program. As she said, it has a very crazy discount this month for
Yeah,
PCOS Awareness Month, so definitely jump on for that. And to Monica, thank you again so much for joining me.
thank you.
All right, take care, bye.
Bye.